Hey everybody, welcome to Dabbles Gaming. Today we have Cave Story, so let's check it out. Where do I start with this game? I suppose if you took Blaster Master, got rid of the tank, and had the protagonist train under Samus Aran, you'd get something close to Cave Story. Called Dokutsu Monogatari in Japan, Cave Story is an amazing 2D action platformer where you play as an amnesiac robot named Quote, who wakes up to find himself in a strange cave system of a world inhabited by bunny-like creatures known as Mamigas. As your journey unfolds, you find that these Mamigas are a peace-loving race that are being kidnapped by an evil doctor via his henchmen Misery and Balrog for some insane experiment to take over the world. As a kind-hearted robot, and the only one with a gun, you take it upon yourself to help these creatures and save the world. Half of the fun of Cave Story is the story itself, so I won't spoil any more of that. Mechanically, the game is near perfect. The shooting is extremely responsive and allows you to shoot in all four directions independently from your actual movement. This is crucial in some platforming areas because the longer you hold the jump button, the longer you jump. The only thing I would say took a while to get used to is the slight floatiness of the movement. I played the game with the gamepad, so it may have been a responsiveness issue, but the character seems to maintain momentum when you try to quickly change direction. This leads to ice physics, which can make you miss platforms you think you've landed and sometimes lead to death. One of my favorite parts of the game is the amount of weaponry you collect as you go. Each weapon has 3 levels of power, and a couple of them have separate upgrades you can collect during the game to make them even better. You start the game off with a simple pistol called the Polar Star that shoots every time you hit the fire button. This means that your ability to kill is directly connected to your ability to button mash. I'm pretty good at it, which I found really helped clear some of the earlier bosses in an almost boring fashion. The first level of the pistol is as basic as it gets. You'll find the game gets significantly easier once you're able to get it up to level 3, as most low-level enemies then die in one shot. The second weapon you collect is the rocket launcher. This was good for tightly clustered enemies and some bosses, but I didn't find myself using it all that much otherwise. The rockets have to accelerate as they go, so you often miss because the enemy has simply moved from where it was. This is also the only gun for a while that has ammo, so you have to conserve rockets or be out until you find more. You can collect upgrades to increase your ammo count, and each weapon level adds another rocket that you fire. At some point you can also find an upgrade to the whole gun, which adds a large AoE explosion to the rockets when they hit, further allowing you to clear those pesky swarms. The third weapon, the Fireball, is a very niche item. It bounces along the ground like the fireballs of a certain plumber hero, but doesn't pack too much of a punch, and you're limited to a certain number of them on screen at one time. There were times when they came in handy, and I found myself using them more than the rockets, but they still didn't trump the standard gun. The first level of the gun allows 2 very low damaging balls. The second level increases the damage in number to 3, the max level allows 4 balls at a time, and finally puts out a significant amount of damage per projectile. Around halfway through the game, you can trade your single-shot pistol for an automatic machine gun, and things get worlds easier. The machine gun, like the rocket launcher, has ammunition, but unlike the rockets, this ammo reloads automatically. I believe this mechanic was put in to keep people from simply holding A to win. When you release the fire button, the gun reloads as fast as it unloads, so as long as you take a breather every few seconds, you'll never worry about running out of ammo in the middle of a fight. You eventually get an upgrade that reloads the gun at an even quicker rate, so by the end of the game, running out of ammo is only really your own fault. The weapon levels of the gun aren't really anything to talk about until level 3. At max level, not only do you gain an insane amount of DPS, but your bullets will also propel you upwards if you aim down. This trick is a necessity to solve many of the later game puzzles. My favorite weapon of the game, aside from a fully leveled machine gun, is the Mamiga Blade. You earn this weapon much later in the game, but it is exceptional. You can only throw one blade at a time, but even at lowest level it puts out enough damage to one-hit most of the enemies you encounter. Once you fully level it, the blade becomes a Mamiga Spirit and explodes in an AoE of slashes when it connects with an enemy, usually destroying the thing hit as well as dealing damage to anything around it. After doing some research outside of the game, I learned that there are other weapons that you can unlock if you choose not to trade your first gun for the machine gun. One of these combines the Polar Star with a Fireball. The other is an upgraded version of the Polar Star that charges as you hold the button and fires a piercing laser beam that does insane amounts of damage. I traded off for the machine gun during my playthrough, so I didn't play around with either of these. Another gun is hidden and meant for use in the early game. It acts like the machine gun but fires bubbles. At max level, these bubbles become a shield that explodes out once the fire button is released. With so many cool weapons to choose from, it's really the way in which you level them up that was really interesting. Whenever you kill an enemy, they sometimes drop glowing yellow triangles that you can collect. These triangles fill your weapon meter and level up your currently equipped weapon. However, when you get hit, you not only lose health, you also lose weapon points on your currently equipped weapon. This leads to some crazy weapon switching during combat, especially boss battles, so that you don't lose that crucial max level on whatever weapon you need to use. Enough about weapons though. The absolute best part about Cave Story is the story itself. I've never seen the amnesia angle handled more cleanly in such a simple game. It really allows the narrative to truly unfold before the player as it unfolds before quote. I found myself having sheer moments of joy as I made connections between different plot points and pieced together the whole narrative. Just like in Blaster Master and Metroid, the game frequently has you backtracking through different areas on quests to finish the goals of the game. The rewards, however, aren't just new power-ups or weapons, but actual pieces of the plot that get revealed as you go along. One particular quest has you collecting an old woman's dogs that are lost in the area. As you bring back each one, she slowly reveals a lot about the backstory that really helps flesh out the game and keeps the player interested. I didn't even mind that I spent almost half of that play session running around looking for puppies because there was so much revealed that it made it worth my while. The game is long too. For a side-scrolling action platformer, the game easily clocks in at well over 5 hours without going through and doing any of the side quests to upgrade weapons. You learn the world just as Quote does, and it's brilliant. At first I found myself getting frustrated because there's really no direction as to where you should go or the order that you need to do things in, but I quickly started remembering things that were crucial to the plot, and navigating the ever-growing world became easier the longer I played. Even though the game was released in 2004 for free, it was such an instant classic that Nintendo picked it up and ported it to the Wii with upgraded graphics and new game modes. This version was then ported back to the PC, as well as Mac and Linux, as Cave Story Plus. Sounds great, right? Not good enough? Well, then you can also play it on the DSi and 3DS a la Cave Story Plus, or even buy a physical copy for your 3DS with the graphics fully updated to 3D. Cave Story Plus runs for $14.99 on Steam and is available for digital download via Nintendo's eShop for about 1,200 points for the Wii title. Granted, the Plus versions of the game have added modes, a new game where you play through the story arc of Curly Brace, as well as a slew of other features, but you don't need to shell out cash when the original is still available as freeware for PC. The freeware version requires a language patch to play it in English, but it's super easy to install, and all the instructions are on the website cavestory.org. The retro-style platformer seems to be a growing trend in gaming today, and sadly not all of them are amazing, and a lot of them are just looking to cash in on the trend. So it's so good to find a game that not only fits the niche perfectly, but is also 100% free. If that old style of action platformer is your bag, and you're not looking to break your bank, download Cave Story and check it out. Hey guys, thanks for watching my Check It Out review. I'll be putting one of these out the last Friday of every month, so make sure to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any awesome indie games that you can pick up for little or no cost to you. As always, I've been Dabbles, you guys have been awesome. See you next time.